For more than a year here in Washington Watch, we focused on voter suppression. And finally, the courts are beginning to take some action. In Ohio, a federal judge restores early voting statewide for the 3 days preceding the election. However, the state's top elected official, a Republican and an advocate of these voter suppression policies, says he won't allow counties to set the hours for that early voting until an appeals court rules. There's a hearing set for next Thursday. In Florida, a federal judge bars restrictions on voter registration drives set up by Republican state officials. There were rules and fines that made it very difficult for groups to register new voters. Even the League of Women Voters was scared off by the ridiculous fines as well as the regulations. And in Texas, a federal court strikes down the state's picture ID requirements because they discriminated against the poor and minorities. Texas officials say they will appeal. Folks, here's the point. We've been on this voter suppression problem for the last year. If we stand up for what's right, and what can be more right than the right to vote, we can roll back these new efforts to suppress the votes of the poor, the elderly, the young, and minorities. Now, each week, we're going to focus on one state to tell you how to beat these new poll tax type laws. This weekend is Pennsylvania, where a state judge last month upheld the state's voter ID law. In Pennsylvania, you will need a photo ID to vote. Acceptable forms of photo ID are a government-issued photo ID, federal, state, county, or city, a Pennsylvania driver's license. Even one that expired less than a year before Election Day is okay, and photo IDs from elderly care facilities. Now, if you don't have one of these, you can get a voter ID card at one of the state's 71 driver's license centers. You will need a Social Security number if you have one, and proof of residency such as a lease or utility bill. The IDs are free but can take up to 2 weeks to obtain them. So if you don't have a valid ID, start now by going to votespa.com. That's VOTESPA.com. The last day to register to vote in Pennsylvania is October 5th.